What's up, my party people? Welcome back to Odd One Out. It's been a few days since we made an episode. Feels weird for us. We were on a roll there for a little bit.
It was nice to have a little break, though.
True. Don't think the news didn't stop.
No.
So, today's edition will be another Fact and React, courtesy of hers truly. She came up with this idea a few episodes ago, and I like the idea because I'm kind of a ranter, and she's more of a fact presenter. So I think it's a good mixture of good factual analysis and then a reaction to it. So, if you would like to kick us off with the facts, we can both react.
Yes, so basically these are all from headlines of news that has happened the past few days, but it has all been fact-checked. I don't know why I said that so weird, but it has all been fact-checked, so that is where the fact comes from.
You said it that way because we're the odd one out.
And Colin will react, but I will likely have some reaction as well. So, number one, the U.S. has been added to a global human rights watch list. Basically, it's a research tool that publicizes the status of freedoms and threats to civil liberties worldwide. So I guess I will say, we were not quite sure of how to address the organization that does the watch list. It is in all capital letters, CIVICUS. So we're thinking Civicus, but it's called the Civicus Monitor Watch List. And if we're saying that wrong and you know what it is, please tell us what it is. But basically, they have added us to this watch list because, quote, Trump's assault on democratic norms and global cooperations. If you're curious who else we're on that list with, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Pakistan, and Serbia are all on that list, and now we're on with them. Also Italy, I'm not sure what's going on in Italy, but they're on the list too. But yeah, any reaction to that?
Well, we can start with this as simple and as easy to go to as trans identity being completely demolished, like literally eradicated in the books, saying that there's only male and female. So anybody that has any kind of trans identity, even if it is, say, like a trans female or a trans male, you don't exist according to the United States government, or rather, they're saying, we're going to tell you what you are. So it's from something as simple as that, all the way to, we just had, and I wish I remembered this lady's name, but we just had a Canadian tourist that was in California, and she was deported by ICE while she was visiting on a visa. So, and there's, by the way, I would not at all be shocked if part of this was a reaction, or rather an assessment by Civicus in response to the United States attempting to deport, and I forget the person's name, but a very prominent pro-Gaza supporter, pro-Palestine, who had been leading demonstrations on campus. He was on a student visa. Apologize again, I forget his name. But he'd been apprehended by ICE and been informed that his green card had been revoked. Thankfully, the courts have stepped in and have completely halted this deportation and attempt to revoke his green card. It's currently in limbo, and I do have, maybe you can count this as the good news, but how about the federal courts? They have been doing their thing. They've been flexing their muscles. The Supreme Court today ruled, too, that Trump's birthright citizenship, while it's still being appealed up to the Supreme Court, it got decided by the appellate court. It's done for now. They could have said, you can continue practicing it until it's ruled on by the Supreme Court. They said, no, you're not doing anything to birthright citizenship. while we're waiting on the Supreme Court. So the reaction is the United States. We've been trying to tell you, and it's been laughed at. One of the two candidates was going to cost human rights, and what do you know? It's not the boy who cried wolf, the Democrats who cried wolf. It's like we've been trying to tell you all along. So that's the reaction to that.
I think also just, because they said Trump's assault on democratic norms. I mean, it's like it's frowned upon now to question him or say that we don't like what he's doing. That the government officials are supposed to work for us. We're supposed to question things. We're supposed to say if we don't like what our president or our senator or whoever, if we don't like what they're doing. But it seems like that is frowned upon by our president and his party. They want us to just go along with everything. And yeah, so anyways, I feel like it's things just as simple as that, to where he's not, going with the democratic norm anymore. Like, we're not allowed to oppose things that are happening in our government anymore, and goes all the way to the more extremes, like you talked about with, trans people and someone being deported for
practicing free speech.
Exactly. So yeah, it's just crazy.
He said that he was going to be the greatest president for free speech.
Well, okay, ready to move on from that one?
Yep.
Okay. Senator Mark Kelly, I believe he's from Arizona.
Yes, he is.
Recently visited Ukraine, and Elon Musk, I believe this was through a tweet on, or whatever they call it on X now.
An excretion.
Is that really what it's called?
No, that's just what my boy Tim Miller calls it from the Bulwark.
He called Senator Kelly a traitor because he went to Ukraine. Which, let me first say, Senator Mark Kelly is a veteran. He has fought for our country. He's a combat veteran, number one. Number two, how is visiting Ukraine, how does that make you a traitor? To whom?
They never explain.
So go.
It's just name calling and accusations. It's never a logical, reasonable explanation.
Right.
So, I mean, Trump has called Zelensky a dictator, and funny enough, when he was asked about it, just days, like 3 or 4 days after calling Zelensky a dictator, he was asked why he called Zelensky a dictator, and he was like, and Trump literally almost verbatim said, "I said that? I can't believe I said that," and looked away, and it's like, what? If that would have happened to Biden, everybody would have been losing their minds and been like, the cognitive decline, which is fair, by the way. Let's be fair. Biden was cognitively declined. You know who else is cognitively declined? I can't even say the word tonight. Donald Trump. You know who wasn't? We won't go there. But yeah, it's how can you possibly call somebody visiting Ukraine, a traitor? Donald, you're the traitor. You pardoned 600 cop beaters. You're a traitor. 600 traitors to our nation. Which, I mean, it's almost at a point, I'm giving a reaction, but there's almost no reaction at some point, because it's just become, unfortunately, so normalized.
I just wanted to bring that one up because I think it's so disrespectful to call someone who has actually fought for our country. Elon Musk, you're not even from our country. Donald Trump, you didn't fight for our country, and I just think it's disrespectful to call him a traitor.
Yeah, he's Lieutenant Bone Spurs. He's a draft dodger. And also, he made fun of John McCain for not being able to raise his hand. John McCain, who swam, 13 miles in the ocean with his unit. He thought that they were dead, but he kept the morale up and was like, there's an island this way, we're going to go. And he did. And they actually made it to an island. Total bravery, total courage. He was beaten so bad in prisoner of war camp that he couldn't raise his arm. And Trump made fun of him for not being able to raise it all the way up, and then said that he doesn't like losers, that John McCain got captured. He likes winners. So it's just... And no matter how normal it feels, we need to make it not normal. We need to push back. The media has played a big part in normalizing this, CNN included. Every single thing needs to be highlighted. It's a lot to keep up with, I understand, but we need to keep things real. We need to stop with the normalizing this madness.
Next we have the USDA cancels $1 billion in local food purchasing for schools and food banks. So I wanted to kind of explain real quick because I looked into this to see exactly what it meant. So basically there's a program where schools got funding to buy food from local places, which provided for some healthier food at school, as well as money going to local companies instead of big corporations for the food at school. But basically this program has been cut by the Department of Agriculture. Any reaction to that?
Just total shock that farmers and ranchers continue to support this guy after needing to be bailed out to the tune of $28 billion during Trump's first term thanks to his trade wars totally destroying them. And we're doing it all over again. There's going to be more pain and damage to come to ranchers and farmers. And I speak about ranchers and farmers specifically, but it's really any local food producer. $1 billion is a lot to the local economies, even if you spread it out amongst all 50 states each year. And it's the party of pro-life, right? For the first 9 months of existence, as in the first 9 months in the womb, but as soon as you're born, there's no support. There's, free lunches, healthcare, welfare, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all these things. You're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
We care about you so much while you're in the womb, but as soon as you're born, it's like, where did the pro-life go? So just really, really interesting, and that's going to be devastating to farmers and ranchers who unfortunately have not learned the lesson.
Well, and we also have this whole movement of Make America Healthy again. Well, then why, if we're wanting to make America healthy, why are we cutting this program that can help get healthier food in the school for kids? Number one. Number two, why are we messing with, of all the things we could mess with and fix, why are we getting rid of a program messing with the kids' lunches?
And I want to put this, that's a great point. I want to put this in...
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to put this into perspective. This is just simple math. 1 billion compared to 4.6 trillion in tax cut extensions. So this 1 billion represents 1 year of funding. You could fund it, literally, this is just simple math, 4,600 years with the money we're using for the tax cut extensions. So if that doesn't go to show you what we're prioritizing, at least what this admin is prioritizing, well then I don't know what else to tell you. It's all about the richest and the wealthiest. We're gonna get maybe about a $400, $500 tax cut for the whole household, which is nice, obviously. However, it's not at all worth it. We have crippling debt. This admin is telling us we have to make cuts, and instead of we're cutting this, going to the kids and going to, this is literally all positivity. All positivity. We could choose to do 4,600 years of this with the tax cut extensions, but nope, we're just never going to do it, period, so long as Donald Trump is our president at least.
This one came a few days ago, but I figured we should touch on it. Maybe if there's an update. Ukraine did agree to a ceasefire. Trump said he was supposed to be speaking with Russia to see if they were also going to agree. Do you have any reaction, or do you have any updates on Trump speaking to Russia?
Kind of both. So let's be fair. Let's celebrate a victory for Trump.
Sure.
He did work out, at least on terms that Ukraine agrees with, a ceasefire deal in principle. I applaud President Trump for that. That's about where the buck stops, and that's not me just being biased. I'm trying to show you being fair right now by giving him his props. Here's where the problems come in. This is going to be a temporary ceasefire deal if Russia agrees. That's still to be seen. It's going to be a temporary ceasefire deal that will totally depend. The peace of Ukraine will totally depend on the deal that they make during the ceasefire. The ceasefire is like part A. The actual negotiations will follow if Russia accepts the ceasefire. Ukraine will be looking for security guarantees. They will be saying the same thing that they tried telling Trump a couple weeks ago now, saying that 25 different times since I forget what year, not that long ago, that Russia had broken ceasefire agreements, that Putin constantly breaks ceasefires, and is constantly killing Ukrainians. So Zelensky and Ukraine will be looking for some kind of promises. Otherwise, it's probably going to be, I don't know, I can't say no deal. That's tough, but that's what they'll be looking for. You know what Russia's going to be looking for? Give me half of your land. And by the way, the United States is going to hear that and then look at Ukraine and be like, what do you say? And so, sure, we all need to celebrate human life being, it's going to benefit human life if we get a ceasefire deal. However, democracy is dying, and communism is growing. I seem to remember a very famous president from the 80s that did not back down to communism and told communism, tear down this wall, and was a staunch defender of it, was strong, was a hero to the whole world, was a hero to democracy, defended democracy both at home and abroad. That's all gone now. And you know who wins in this situation? Russia. Russia wins. They will take more territory, they will gain more power, and exactly what Zelensky tried to tell Trump, that you will feel influence, you will feel Russia's power in the world growing, their influence growing. That's all going to come true. I don't mean to sound, like I'm trying to target Trump when I say this, but I almost wonder if he wants that. He truthfully does seem to be pals with Putin. Mm-hmm. So, it's really disappointing. It's sad that the Ukrainians probably are not going to get the justice they deserve.
Well, and at the end of the day, just because they agreed to a ceasefire, is Putin actually going to abide by it?
Yeah, that's why Ukraine's going to be like, hey, I need security assurances.
Right.
I need you to say in this contract that U.S., you will physically step in if Russia tries to invade again.
We'll come back to, I'm going to skip ahead for a second. What is your reaction to Trump lining up the Teslas in front of the White House and purchasing a Tesla?
Can I ask everybody sitting at home right now to actually be honest with themselves? Be really honest with yourself and reflect over that. And try telling me that wasn't corrupt, that was using the White House, the whole White House position in order to prop up a worker in the White House's private company.
And this is all on video, so no one try to say, oh, he didn't do. Yes, he did. It's on video.
He did it in front of the world.
Yes.
He was unashamed. He didn't think anything was wrong with it. Are you kidding me? Neither one of them do. They tried out 5 Teslas, which only one of them, by the way, was an attractive vehicle. If I'm just being honest, the other 4 were pretty sorry. You want to know what our world leader said when he got in? Whoa, it's a lot of computer. What? We made fun of Joe Biden for talking like that. And our president, our 78-year-old president, stepping in the car going, oh my gosh, so much computer. It's very confusing. And I really quick also just want to point out, Biden caught a lot of flack for what Hunter Biden was saying in talks with China and business dealings. Everybody was like, look at them using the White House and their power for money. Look at them using the White House and their power for money in this admin. Mm-hmm. I'm so sick and tired of the hypocrisy. And Hunter Biden committed crimes. Hunter Biden said some corrupt things. Joe Biden was not a part of any kind of business dealings in China. None of that has ever been proven, period. None of it's the hypocrisy. They're doing it in front of broad daylight. They're doing it in front of everybody. And 30% of people in America right now, the hardcore MAGA right, are all about it. And they're either totally not aware or they just don't care about the complete, hypocrisy. So.
And can I just ask you to please think about the fact that a lot of us are at home and, we're very lucky. Like, I won't pretend that we're struggling or anything right now. There are plenty of people who really, really are struggling. But we're all at home feeling the effects of higher groceries. And there are families having trouble putting food on the table, having trouble paying their bills. And what is the president doing? Not helping to solve that. He's riding around in some Teslas.
Out there hawking Teslas like a used car salesman.
And I really, really want this, I want us to try to just educate and not, talk trash. But it's just the truth. And I just really hope that you will think about that. He does not care about you or us regular people. He's out riding around in his Tesla. He can't even drive.
That's what I was going to say too. That's such a joke.
So I just wanted to say that. Anything else? Okay. So moving on to the Federal Department of Education, they have let about 50% of their employees go, which I was going to pull because I also had this, and now of course it went away. I had an article up that gave a bigger, or an exact number. 1,300 jobs will be cut or have been cut from this is the Federal Department of Education.
50%.
And this is just them preparing to get rid of the whole department. We had a request to do an episode on the Department of Education, so and I would like to do that, so we are going to work on that. But I did just real quick want to just note a couple of things that the Department of Education does, because I still cannot understand why people can support the Department of Education being abolished. One of the things that they do is oversee programs for lower income families. Head Start. Have you ever used, if you're watching this, have you used Head Start? That will go away. There will be no funding for that. Special education. So these are the students with special needs who need an IEP at school. Or programs for special needs children. Gone. So that's just, a few things. We will definitely work on an episode to kind of talk more in depth, but I cannot fathom why anyone who says that they support life would want to take away money and those kind of programs from children. But basically, this cutting of employees is just the beginning of them getting the department gone, whatever I'm trying to say.
It's no secret. I mean, Trump has said so many times in press briefings that he's told Linda McMahon to essentially fire herself, that he hired her to fire herself. And so that's the whole point. They're closing up shop, and I know we're going to go over this again, and that's okay. It's okay.
No, yeah, go ahead. Whatever you.
We're going to for sure touch over this again whenever we make this episode, but so just so people understand, there's just a massive disinformation. By the way, they know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. This admin knows they're lying, and they're pushing it. They're using it to manipulate you. They're saying, "Oh, we're just giving education back to the states. We're going to leave it up to the states." The states already handle the curriculum of what's being taught. The federal body is there for support, not for
and to give us money.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know why
I feel like so heated today. You should.
But where do you think the money comes from?
Yeah, and I mean,
not our state. Our state's poor.
No, and I mean, there is plenty. The majority does come from the state funding. However, how are they going to replace all this? Mm-hmm. They don't. The federal level doesn't facilitate the curriculum.
Right.
Okay? It's just there for support. That's part of it. Another thing is this whole, Trump's trying to talk about giving school choice. And I was waiting for this. I was waiting for this because school choice by itself, where you can go to whatever school you choose, is fantastic. However, I knew that this was what they're going to try to sneak in with the voucher programs. They want to give vouchers for private schools so that, say you have a private school here in Tulsa and the tuition is, say, $10,000 a year. And this voucher says, here's $1,000 towards that tuition. And so, here's the problem with that. Little Timmy over in public school is not going to suddenly start going to the private school because the tuition dropped, essentially, from $10,000 to $9,000. The private school kids that already are, the families are doing well and are able to afford it, it's going to be the same exact people still going to that school. What do you know? Essentially a tax cut for the wealthy.
Yes, no, and this is actually happening. Our state is doing the voucher program, and a story just came out where the rich families are getting a lot of the money. It's not even helping a lot of the lower income families because exactly what you're saying.
And to build on that, how she's saying they're getting a lot of the money, it's not all of a sudden like with these voucher programs, additional funding comes up out of nowhere. They're dealing with the pool, and it changes every year, obviously, as they do budgeting. But they're dealing with essentially a fixed, not really a fixed, but just, a limited amount of funds. And so they're saying, okay, we're going to do the school voucher program, so we're going to take this part, we're going to move it over here. And, it might have been helping affect everybody. Now it's literally only going to the richest families. So, we'll go over all that again. But I don't at all agree with what's going on with the education prerogatives, the decisions being made. The Department of Education being axed is horrible news.
And everyone has a right to education and a quality education. So why would we not just give money equally to all schools so that everyone can get a good education, and you don't have to choose what school you go to because it doesn't matter. Everyone has a right to a quality education, and I will never understand how getting rid of the Department of Education, these vouchers, why can't we just put money into giving everyone a quality education?
Yeah, education.
And you know why? Because they don't want you to be educated.
That's right.
But some people aren't ready to accept that. And we could go off on a long tangent, but that's what it is. They don't want people to be educated.
Well, and this is quite literally, this is unbiased research. This is from Pew Research, who is straight down the middle. They have no biases. And this is not to smear in the face of anybody. We need to stand together. It's the politicians who I get mad at. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get mad at the people who are being lied to, okay? Mm-hmm. I may get frustrated, of course, but at the end of the day, we're all family. There's a reason why my 4 closest friends are literally all MAGA. Because they're not the ones out there who are creating the evil. They're unfortunately misled, in my opinion, okay? And so, Pew Research, there is a strong correlation between education and your political leaning. And there's all kinds of theories. You even have some that are saying, higher education is already liberal. Like, these universities are, brainwashing these kids to be liberal. As 2 people who, by the way, I was Republican for years after I graduated college, as 2 people who have been there and done that, I don't remember literally any liberal ideology being pushed on me, period.
No.
Matter of fact, I went to a Christian school, so it was going to be very conservative. But there's a reason why they're doing all these kind of things. I don't mean to go off too much, so I'm just going to keep this part short. Voter suppression. That usually favors Republicans. Less education amongst your civilization usually favors Republicans. Education is the key to everything. And you said such a fantastic point, and I literally have never thought about this before, even though it's just plain common sense. If we could have each of the schools have the exact same amount of resources per capita, obviously if you're in a tiny town, you do not need the same amount of resources as, say, us in Tulsa with a big school. But per capita, per student, there needs to be the same amount of resources everywhere. I don't see a problem with that. Obviously, that's going to be hard to facilitate because it's at the state level. But I just these are things that are not controversial concepts, or at least they shouldn't be. Education, like she said, should be it should be
right.
guaranteed.
It shouldn't be controversial, but
it is. Here we are.
I could go off on so many tangents, but we won't right now. But you bring up voter suppression, which brings us to our last topic. Which let me bring this up to read a little more about it. There is a bill that has been introduced. Nothing's been voted on. It's just been introduced. They are calling it the SAVE Act, Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. This has been introduced by Republicans, which when you first hear it, you might think, sure. It's basically wanting people, because right now when you register to vote, you just click, yes, I'm a citizen, basically. You have to provide other information. Like, I don't feel like anyone can just, we have to give like our social security,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Okay. But you do just click, yes, I'm a citizen. Republicans have created this issue that's not even happening. They're trying to say that undocumented immigrants are voting.
By the way, there's studies on this, there's stats on that,
yes,
proving it's not true.
It's not happening. Okay, I can look up some research and we can dig more into it, but it's not happening. Because like I said, I'm pretty sure you have to give your social security, and you don't.
My driver's license.
Yeah. And if you're not a citizen, you don't have a social security number.
And that's just at the registration, not presenting it again as you go vote, because you already did that.
Yes, this is just to register to vote.
Yeah.
Okay? So they've come up with this fake issue saying that undocumented immigrants are voting. So now they're trying to make it to where you have to prove that you are a citizen of the U.S. to register to vote. Which you might think, okay, why is that a big deal? How do you prove you're a citizen of the U.S.? You have to have items like either a passport, a birth certificate. Okay, not everyone has a passport, and passports cost money. Not everyone can pay for a passport. Not everyone knows where their birth certificate is. And you know what? It costs money to get your birth certificate. Not everyone has, it probably doesn't cost a lot to get your birth certificate, but not everyone has an extra $5, $10, $15 laying out however much it costs.
It's going to be like 30, 40, 50 bucks.
And another thing, women who have gotten married and changed their last name, my birth certificate has a different last name than what I have. So we will have to go through and show additional documents just to register to vote. And the issue is, like I said, people can't pay for those items.
It's just an obstacle.
Yes, you won't be able to register to vote online, which is very convenient to a lot of people to be able to do it online. I also read they won't, sometimes places will have voter registration events, to get people registered to vote. You won't be able to do that because people are going to have all these documents. So to me, it's just a way that they've come up with a fake problem as a way to now make it harder for people to register to vote, which is going to suppress people from voting.
Voter suppression quite literally always benefits Republicans.
Yeah,
they want the least amount of turnout as possible. And actually, it's funny and almost poetic. We started this nation as a republic. We were represented by, we actually weren't represented, period. All of our decisions were made for us by white landowners who were elected by the government itself into office. Not elected, appointed. Later on, it became white men that owned land. and so white men that owned land could vote. And then later on, it became black men, could vote. And then it became women could vote. We started out as a republic, and we slowly made our way to a true democracy. To this day, we are a democratic republic. We are democracy. The people have the voice. These are steps that take us closer back to having people make decisions for us, not us. I thought it was we the people. We have the power. Unfortunately, that is not what it seems like with these kind of laws and voter suppression. You should be able to prove you're a citizen when you sign up, which you already do, and then it should be the easiest thing on the planet to vote. Everybody should be able to vote.
Yes.
Your voice should matter.
Yes.
This is not good for voting morale, and it's not good for the voice of the nation, for actually representing all people, for being a democracy.
Yes. If you want a democracy, you should want everyone to vote.
Yep.
And things like this making it harder for people to even get registered to vote, I mean, it's like you just said, that's not supporting democracy. So call your representatives, tell them to vote no. Because like I said, I think it's just something that's been introduced. They haven't voted yet.
Call your husband.
You go ahead.
Call your kids. Call your wife. Call your husband, because they suppressing everybody's votes out here.
Period.
I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna make sure I'm giving you. Okay. Yeah. So. Yeah, they have not voted it, but it's a bill that could come up in the House of Representatives. So, if you're not comfortable on the phone, you can email your reps too. Write them a letter, or call them and tell them to vote no.
Yep.
On this.
Yep.
Okay. That's it. Did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about before I share something good to end with?
Be on the lookout. They're voting on the budget bill in the Senate by, I think it's this Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
So now call your senator. You
Yes.
need to call your House representatives about the Voting Act. Call your senators about the budget bill.
Yep. Even if you're a Democrat calling a Republican senator, you are still their constituent. They still have to represent you. They may choose not to. I mean, they can choose whatever they want. But you are still their constituent, and they have to take your message.
And the Senate, I mean, what are we? We need just a couple to vote no.
So
right?
They need. Here's the thing: they need 8 Democrats, because there's already.
Oh, really? Because some are already.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't want to.
But
hold
still
my
call all of them.
And I'm not holding my breath on, because you know what's crazy. What's crazy is literally one of the House Republicans was so staunchly against it and said they weren't going to vote for it, and they voted for it. So do not hold your breath.
So yes, call them.
Yes.
And call your Democrat your Democrat senators too, just to make sure,
You're not messing this up for us.
Yes.
You're gonna do your duty for us, please. You work for me.
And if you don't know who they are, look it up online. It will come up.
There's only 2 to every state.
Yeah, for the senators, yes. There's 2.
Here in Oklahoma, it's Mark Wayne Mullen and James Langford, if that helps.
Yes. All right. Good.
Give us the good news, baby.
Okay. So I've been on some episodes trying to share some good bills that have passed here in our state, and this one is actually a good one to talk about, with it being Women's History Month. It's still March, so we're still celebrating women, even though we celebrate women every day. Anyways, so there was a bill introduced here in Oklahoma by a representative from Tulsa, and the bill would cover, it would make diagnostic and supplemental mammograms covered with no cost sharing. And so I was looking up, I wasn't sure what that meant, what no cost sharing meant. But basically it means that like mammograms should be covered without anything out of pocket, no copay, no deductible. They should be covered. If you for some reason don't know what a mammogram is, it's a screening that women have to get done to screen for breast cancer. So it should be covered for all women. And so anyways, that was a bill that was introduced, and it just passed off on the House floor. So now it will go to our state Senate, and hopefully will pass there as well. So that is some good news.
I'm going to try to say this in a positive note, a positive tone, and not rant too much. But I'm clapping here because this benefits people. If you're not clapping for things that benefit people, but you instead clap for tax cuts and extensions, I would really implore you to try to think about what's important to our nation and our people, and what's important outside of just your own four walls and your roof, other people. So that is fantastic news. I always applaud people getting help. That's really cool. The help they deserve, by the way.
Yes.
All right. Anything else?
No, I was feeling sassy tonight, I guess. I feel like I was heated, but
No, you're fine.
got a lot off my chest.
I think I'm rubbing off on other people. So. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to this 42-minute episode. I love the long ones. I do. But
I just hope people watch them. That's why I
Yeah.
like to keep it short. But here we are.
That's fair. Okay. Well, appreciate y'all tuning in. Hope everybody has a great night. You will for sure. The next episode, if it doesn't come before Friday, will for sure pertain to this Senate funding bill. That will be probably our biggest video yet because of the implications in it that are literally earth-shattering. I'm not kidding. I'm not just trying to hype it up. So please call your senators and make sure you keep tuned in. Thank you so much again. Odd one out.
Bye.